Hi there again. Let's continue our project of systemizing your business. Today we're going to look at a slightly different way of putting together the list of business functions, and to illustrate this we're going to take the business component of administration. You'll recall that when we were working with the staff system there was a logical sequence to prompt us. We followed the sequence of the interaction the business had with an employee, starting from understanding the business needed an employee through to hiring, training, managing, and finally the eventuality of them moving on from the business. So below you'll find a template for today's exercise, so download and print that now so that you have somewhere to capture your functions as you think of them and as we talk about them on this video. Pause the video now if you need to do that. So the administration tasks of the business are different because they don't have such a clearly defined sequence. Administration tasks are much more like the oil in the machine that's around all the moving parts to make them easily interact without graunching together. So the way we can think about creating this list is more geographic. If you focus on your business in a layout sense, we'll have a framework that will yield us the second of our lists. This is the list of the admin tasks. So let's start at the front door and we'll work systematically through the business. There's a task each morning to open up and correspondingly at the end of each day to close and lock up. So you can write those two on your list. Now it's a simple task, but when we look into it in detail and create the procedure around it, it will uncover things like who has the keys, the recording of this, what's the backup system. For instance, say the business owner usually opens up but can't get to work one day. Having no plan could leave staff standing around outside for maybe 30 minutes waiting for access. And as soon as you get a few people unproductive, it turns into a very expensive exercise for the business. The procedure will also include the alarm system and would include a process to regularly change the codes and record where the monitoring and repair company's contacts are. So you can see as we get into the details of these procedures, a lot of this will be covered, but at the moment we're looking to just put on the list opening and closing and maybe the alarm process. So as we move through the front door, we're going to come to generally a reception in a lot of business. Even if the business is a shop or a warehouse, an office, it generally has a reception. Now the things that take place here are a lot of the admin functions. So on your list you can include things like answering the telephone, faxes if you still use them, or scanning, taking messages, maybe even buying the flowers for reception. They all go on at this workstation and they're part of administration. And there'll be many more on your list as you think through them with your reception personnel. So are the many centralized supply issues for the business, like the system for ordering stationery, reordering the coffee and consumables for the kitchen, and maybe even cleaning the kitchen could be considered an admin task for your business, although I've seen a few where keeping the kitchen tidy has obviously been missed off everybody's job roles. The bottom line is that if it happens in your business, we have to catch it somewhere. Administration can be considered a bit of a catch-all, but as you build this list you'll see how important it is. Most businesses would be very quickly grinding to a halt without a good supporting admin staff and set of systems. Often there's a large function in administration to do with records management. So for instance, setting up files, filing procedures, archiving, records maintenance. These days many businesses are moving towards scanning documents, so filing and archiving are evolving procedures that must be interfaced with technology. Managing the communication within a business is another aspect that usually falls under the component of administration. Passing messages, arranging meetings, including staff meetings and their agendas, notes of discussions and outcomes, keeping control of repeating events, often by using paper or online calendars like Google Calendars. These can schedule meetings, procedures updates, reviews, staff review meetings, marketing activities and much more. Petty cash may be looked after by those that can be considered admin rather than the finance role as well. As simple as petty cash may be, if you get it wrong it creates much bigger problems. So this is an instance where a function may fit in more than one component, and don't worry where you have it as long as you're capturing it, as long as it's noted somewhere you're on the right track. Think your way through the rest of the business, noting things like who takes out the rubbish, who keeps track of the set of passwords that the business accumulates. And of course one key aspect in this section of administration is the procedures manuals of the business. So by now you should have 20 or 30 or more things on your list. Now we've already mentioned about 20 of them above, so if you haven't got these on your list, then just go through the video again and copy them down. Note down the ones you can think of now, and then use these as the basis of a brainstorm in a staff meeting or even over lunch one day, just to extend the list. The target in this session is just to build the list. Avoid getting bogged down in any single item with a discussion of why it's not working or how to fix it or whose job it is. At this stage, just get the lists together. So set a time in your diary now for an hour or so to finish the lists for all of the other components. And if you apply this thinking to one of the components that you put on the list that was not one of the common ones, you'll find that you will gradually be able to build each of your set of 10 or 12 lists so that you've got all of the components and all of the functions in your business covered on one of these lists. You can turn it into a brainstorming among your staff, and this is a great thing to do because it gets them thinking about the way the business is operating, and it also gets their buy-in and their enthusiasm. So if you can use the combined staff thinking to get your lists compiled, that's a very easy and productive way to do it. So tomorrow we'll send you the next video on bringing all of this together, and so stay tuned for that, and we'll catch up with you in the next step on systemizing your entire business. Thanks for watching this video.